You see that guy right there? No, not that one. Yep, that guy. That's me. I'm gonna be ablaze for these 100 days. And surviving in this custom nether is no joke. I have no home, no friends, and a lot to lose. Taking on this task will be far from easy. I have 3 goals. Build a base friendly to only the blaze, get my custom set of blaze netherite armor, and defeat the dreaded frost mob, the only creature who can oppose my power. Can I soar through my weaknesses and accomplish all of my goals while at the same time surviving this unknown world? Watch the full video to find out. And if you're not already subscribed, consider doing that for the channel, as it helps me out a ton and it's your greatest way of supporting me. Thank you all so much for hearing me out. Sit back, relax, grab an Oreo, and enjoy the video. As I woke up in the nether, I looked at myself in a mirror, or third person, and I'm ablaze. Thankfully, there is one effect I really like being ablaze, and that's flight. I can just hover over lava whenever I want to, as I please. That's really freaking cool. As well as I'm pretty sure I'm immune to fire, but I haven't tested that yet. I start off my day by grabbing some wood, then noticed a piglin who's kind of after me, but doesn't know if he wants to be. Then I 3-shot the man with my fist, realizing that blazes are much more powerful than I thought, and this 100 days isn't going to be as challenging. Hopefully the imbalance of strength versus health isn't going to be a problem, but I have a feeling I might get low a lot during these 100 days. I may have 10 hearts, but blazes take a lot more damage than you think, especially when I'm in the nether and the only armor I have currently is nothing. I crafted myself up a wooden pickaxe and then decided to explore. I realized that I'm directly next to a bastion, which means that I can get some early loot. I flew directly into the middle to see what this chest had, and it wasn't anything too special. I mean, I'm definitely okay with having some of this loot, but I started gathering my thoughts and looking for chests until some guys started ganging up on me with their crossbows. Yeah, I took a lot more damage from one shot than I would have expected, so I got out of there really quickly. Then I spotted some blackstone, and I'm pretty sure I can use that to make stone pickaxes and tools like that, so I gathered up 8 and made my stuff. I went back to the bastion to see if I could find any other chests, as well as I'm wearing those gold leggings I got now, so hopefully everyone's not going to be too mad at me. This place is huge, and I don't really understand the bastions that look like this. I don't know the loot layout, so looking for chests was pretty difficult. However, the first one I found, an efficiency 5 diamond pickaxe. Yeah, efficiency 5 diamond pickaxe on our first bastion. I have high hopes for these 100 days. After that, I found a really interesting basalt castle, which I thought would have some loot. Eventually, I did find this really cool respawn statue, but other than that, I thought I was out of luck. Until I actually mined inward, and there were some chests in here. I got an iron backpack, as well as some actual ores, which was really, really nice to have in this world. Then I found my first diamond and a saddle, 3 extra diamonds, and a nether dragon egg, which means I might be able to ride a dragon as a blaze. I don't know how that's going to work, but it sounds pretty cool. I mined the coffin and found 2 ancient debris. I'm actually so excited for this 100 days being in the nether and all, because I have a feeling I might get overpowered, or I might still be wearing this gold armor by the end of it. Then while flying around, I spotted another basalt castle which had that netherite, and I went inside. It didn't look like it was spawned in properly, but hey, it had the netherite, so I was okay with that. After that, I spotted a nether jungle temple, which I don't know if these things are actually going to be good or not, but I figured I'd loot it. It had some really interesting items in here, like swords and some redstone and coal, but other than that, I didn't think it was great. I did end up looking at the enchants on these swords, and they were really, really OP, so if I can pull the book off of this, then I'm definitely keeping these. I then went ahead and flew around until I found something interesting, aka another fortress, finally. I knew we'd find one pretty quickly since I can actually just fly around in here, but now I'm kinda home with all of my friends and brethren. As you guys know, one of my goals for this series is to become a reinforced blaze, which can technically spawn from one of these spawners, but I actually don't think I'm ready for that yet. A reinforced blaze has so much more armor and does so much more damage to other mobs, but it can't fly, so I'm kinda waiting to see if I can get an Elytra before then. After flying around this fortress and not finding a single chest, I decided it was better for me to go gather materials to see if I could build my own base. I flew back to the Crimson Forest to gather supplies for my own base. For me, this wood looks the best when it's unstripped and it has this really cool red detail in the shaders pack, so I figured I'd use that aspect of it. Maybe at one point we'll find a warped forest, but for now, the Crimson logs will work. Day 2, I strolled up on another nether fortress that I tried to loot for some chests. Unfortunately, while flying through the stank, there was nothing for a poor blaze. Not even a single chest for me? Seriously? After this, I found my way to a bastion where I was able to collect a ton of gold. Then, while wandering around for a little while, I did end up finding the chests. I got a Curse of Vanishing diamond pickaxe, and I wasn't sure how useful this was going to be later, but I guess I could probably find something for it, especially since I don't have access to diamonds. Or at least for now. Then I spent the rest of the day going to jungle temple after jungle temple. Well, I mean, they're jungle temples in the nether, so I'm just going to keep calling them jungle temples. They had some okay things in them, but truly they weren't as good as a bastion or any of the fortresses I'm going to find later. I wish I could say all the loot in here was worth it, but for now what I have is a ton of gold and I don't need this much. I could mine this much if I needed to. I guess it'll come in handy with piglin trades later. Speaking of later, I ended up finding a netherite palace where I was given 4 more pieces of ancient debris. And I found what could only be described as a ghast ball, which thankfully had 2 extra diamonds in it, and I was able to break the spawner very easily. After that, I found a golden city, which actually happened to have bookshelves in it, so things are looking up. At one point, this place must have been bustling with people, or at least nether creatures, but by the time I got here, it looked like it was completely empty. I found a desert temple with a fire dragon egg inside. Thankfully, I didn't go up in smoke. Along the way, I also found even more netherite palaces, which gave me a much better start to this 100 days than I could have hoped for. Before I go any further, I wanted to let y'all know that I have partnered with GSupps to bring you guys a game-ready drink. GSupps is a keto and diabetic-friendly drink that provides a great boost when gaming. My current favorite flavor is citrus lemonade. If you guys want to get some for yourself, use the link in the description or code WelcominTV at checkout. They also offer caffeine-free version so you won't be bouncing off the walls. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. The next day, I continued my looting process while looking for an area I could settle down. I didn't want to take over a bastion or another fortress because that just seems too simple and easy. Instead, I was going to make my own place that only a blaze could get to. I stumbled upon a blackstone biome with both warped and crimson wood. This is probably the coolest biome I've seen because it takes the regular biomes that we're used to and just puts them all together. As well as it's not too far off from what I was expecting as a home, and I can definitely see myself building here. Now that I've found myself an area to start, I went ahead and mined into the ceiling and started clearing out a big area I could build my base. I'm basically mining blackstone with a diamond pickaxe right now, so it's gonna take me a long time to build this kind of a base, so I'm gonna skip past some of these days. Obviously, day 5 through 7, I was mining. That's literally about it. I did outline the hole or the entry to this base a little bit, but later decided it was too small and I wanted something way bigger. By day 8, I had gotten this pickaxe down to 0 HP. That means that my diamond efficiency 5 pickaxe is about to break. So I did the only logical thing possible and went ahead and made myself an anvil, as well as set up my enchantment table area. I combined my 2 diamond pickaxes, my unbreaking 1 and my efficiency 5 into a full HP pickaxe. Then I figured the best course of action would be to turn it into netherite because I have a lot of mining to do still. After that, it was back to mining. Basically, the gist of this was that I mined out a gigantic hole that would lead up that I could fly through, and then in that hole, we're gonna have a ton of different sections for all of my gear. I don't know why, but I'm envisioning like a Mario pipe of sorts, but I haven't, figured that out yet, so we're just gonna continue mining out the entire area before we think about decorating it. I also forgot to mention that I did end up trading for a Totem of Undying, just in case something went wrong these 100 days. I figured it'd be good to have. Now, continuing with my luxurious journey, my netherite pickaxe was again about to break. So I had to make the tough call and use my other diamond pickaxe, the only one I currently possess, yeah, the one with Curse of Vanishing on it, and make that one into a netherite pickaxe so that I could heal my current pickaxe. I didn't want to waste a netherite ingot, especially when I could just put a netherite ingot on a pickaxe and do so much more like healing wise. So I know it was probably not my best call, but at this point I'm a little desperate. After that, I was able to finish the layer that I had been working on for my house. And now that I have a pretty decent area up here, I figured I should move my little base from down below all the way back up here. I laid down my chests, started filling them, and basically that was all I could do currently. After that, I remembered that I actually had plenty of obsidian to go to the overworld. I know it's crazy to think going to the overworld while I'm doing 100 days in the nether, but at the same time, I do want to conquer other dimensions, and to do that, I'm gonna have to leave this one. So I went searching for gravel, which I thought would be really easy. I mean, think about it. It's gravel in the nether. That's normally everywhere. Turns out in these custom biomes, it's not everywhere. It's actually pretty hard to find. I eventually rolled up on some and sent it straight into the burning lava below. Yeah, probably not my best move. After that, I found a Silk Touch diamond pickaxe and another bastion, but that was probably the only thing that was really good in this one. Eventually, I was able to spot some gravel and bring it back home, as well as get flint while doing so. I'm just glad this time I didn't let it burn, because I really do need this to get to the overworld. Once I got back home, I grabbed all the obsidian that I need and made the nether portal out of here. This was the first time I'm leaving my home area, and I'm actually quite scared for what I'm gonna find on the other side. As soon as I went through the portal, it was raining, which meant I took a ton of damage. Thankfully, I was able to get under cover, but this was seriously threatening for a blaze like myself. I can't believe I completely forgot that I am very, very vulnerable to water. And of course, as soon as I come through, it's raining. Like, how perfect timing does it have to be? But I was able to grab all of the stone that I'm actually gonna be needing anyway for this grindstone so that I can, you know, get the mending book and the Unbreaking 3 book for this pickaxe, and then finally leave here without taking any more damage. Once I got back, I went ahead and made the books from the swords that I'd collected, aka an Unbreaking 3 book and a mending book. Well, it had Villager or Illager Bane on it, but I don't really need that. Then I checked the cost of how much that's going to be on my pickaxe. So the first one was 9 levels and the other one was 10 levels. However, I know that's going to skyrocket when I put one on the other, which meant it was time to start mining some quartz. I did this until I was able to put the mending book on my pickaxe, and then I went quartz mining again, as well as healed my pickaxe. After I was done with that, I was finally able to make the God pickaxe by putting Unbreaking 3 on it as well, and now I have an Efficiency 5 Unbreaking 3 mending pickaxe. That's pretty good for only being in the overworld for about 30 seconds. And now that I have this super OP pickaxe, it's time to start mining out the rest of the blackstone. I continued going in the dome shape that I had planned out already, but ran into an issue later on. On one of these layers, I ran straight into bedrock, which I did not expect for a while, actually. I was hoping to get a much bigger dome figure beforehand, but I guess we'll work with what we have. However, we now opened up this entire area and it looks really, really nice. Obviously, no details have been added, but we're getting there. Next up, I realized that I could cut down all of the nether trees in one hit with vein mining. Or what is this, tree feller? I don't know what mod this was, but it worked even with the nether trees. So that's what was on my mind, collecting different types of nether trees, aka crimson and warped, so I could use those to deck out my pad. And now that I have all the materials secured, it's time to continue working on this pipeline area. I extended it down a little bit more so I had a lot more room to work with when it came to adding more details. Then to make it more like a pipe, I had to curve it out a little bit with a certain wood, and I went ahead with the warped wood on the outside. Once I was done adding warped wood to the outside, I actually felt it better that I used both woods, so I went ahead with the crimson wood on the inside. I think in the biome that I'm in, using both red and blue wood right now is probably the best bet. And throughout this process, I didn't realize how much wood I was going to be needing, so I did have to go back and forth and get more wood here and there. But overall, this bottom line looks really, really nice. After finishing the bottom section, I went ahead and started doing the exact same thing on the top, copying the same design as before, but up here. I know it's a little weird because I can't really get over this wall unless I fly, which technically I can, so that's not going to be an issue, right? Right? Well, for now, I can at least put all the wood down and hope that I'm not going to have any issues later. And now that I finally have the actual build itself sorted out, it was time to add some minor details, most of which included doing trapdoors in a certain pattern in between the two pipe areas, as well as going on the outside and using some trapdoors out there. Then I went ahead and gathered a ton of warped vines and put it all around the entrance. I wanted this place to be as hidden as possible, not that anything's ever going to get up here, but I think it looks better this way. As well as I added some vines on the inside, so once I turn into, you know, my final form of a blaze, I can at least climb up in here, because I have a feeling it's going to be really hard getting in the base without flight. Okay, so I think it's time we stop the building for now. I've just realized that my current set of armor consists of only gold at this point. And if I'm going to survive as a blaze, especially against either an ender dragon or a wither, I'm going to need a lot better than just gold. So I thought I would embark on a journey to find diamond armor, or at least enough diamonds to make diamond armor. Along the way, I ran into a few bastions as well as those netherite castles we've been seeing. Although it was nothing like the first treasure bastion that I found. I rolled up on this place and there were so many piggies here. Thankfully, their AI isn't smart enough to actually stay on the blocks, instead they just push each other off. I looted the chest free and clear and then realized that I could go down into the actual good part of this thing and get to work. While I was down here, I had a super close near-death experience, but I was able to fly out of it. Then I went ahead and checked the chest and found a diamond helmet and 2 full netherite ingots. That is probably the best chest I could have ever found. Well, or at least I thought it was. After that, I continued searching the nether for anything, especially one more of those treasure bastions. I had high hopes for the next one. I did find an End City nether ship, which I looted and got those really awesome boots that unfortunately have the curse on them, but at the same time, I'm considering wearing these guys. I mean, let's be honest, they are really overpowered boots. Let me put Prot 4 on them and I think I might wear them. After a while, I actually ended up in what I thought looked like a stronghold. Crazy enough, I got in there and it actually was. There was a library room with actual netherite in it. I don't think a blaze has ever been so lucky. I continued looking through this place for a very long time. I wanted to see if I could find the end portal. Or if I did end up finding a portal, what would it be? I wasn't sure if it was going to be an end portal or not because, well, I'm in the nether. I didn't understand the chances of that happening. So it was hallway after hallway, area after area, in search for the possibility of an end portal. And unfortunately, while I was here, or at least on the inside still thinking about it, I didn't find it. However, a little bit of scouting later, and much time getting lost and circling back to areas I had already been, I ended up finding the end portal. Yeah, that means there's an end portal in the nether, so I don't have to actually go to the overworld to find it. This was a welcome surprise for this blaze. I set a waypoint and then got out of there. I still had one goal, diamond armor, and I hadn't completed it yet. Days of travel later, biome after biome, I finally found another treasure bastion, which means this is the second one I'm going to be finding in these 100 days. I instantly went down to the bottom to check out what it had. I had to fight off a ton of mobs and mine the gold blocks before I even opened the chest because I was a little nervous to see what I'd find. However, as soon as I opened those chests, my grin grew. In the first chest, there was already 2/4 of diamond armor in there, which meant in total, I had 3/4, so it wasn't going to be hard to find the other piece. And that second chest, oh man, was that a lifesaver. I opened that thing up, what do I find? The diamond leggings I need, and another piece of netherite, which means I'm going to be rocking netherite armor in absolutely no time. And after that adventure, I figured it was time to go home. I had literally pushed all of my luck into this trip, and it was time to rest. I saw the beautiful Mario pipe as I got home, and I gotta say, it looks pretty cool. I just hope I'm home in time for dinner. Newsflash, I wasn't. And the worst part about that is I realized I had literally 0 levels to actually enchant any of this gear I just found. So I put everything away and started mining quartz. I currently have no other way of getting XP other than quartz mining, so it was a lot of flying around. Eventually, I did end up getting enough to enchant some of the gear, so I came back to set up the enchantment table and realized I don't have any lapis. There are lapis piles in the nether, but they don't actually ever craft lapis. I don't know the use for them, but they're not helpful whatsoever. So instead, I traveled to the overworld. Once I made it to the overworld, it was actually super nice because I wasn't dying to rain. Sometimes I do forget that I'm a blaze, so water does hurt me, but this time it wasn't an issue. I instantly headed down to the mines so I could check and see if I could find lapis easily. Once I got down there, not only did I find that, I found out that mobs don't really want to hurt me. I never thought I would understand what it was like to become one of them because they don't care about me whatsoever, so I can just carry on my business and be a blaze all I want. Then I started realizing it was really easy to get ores. Like, the diamonds, they were everywhere. Lapis, everywhere. And I also remembered that there's a deep dark dimension in this mod pack. So in my mind, I was like, Blaze vs. Warden. I wonder who would win. So I instantly went down into the deep dark. Once I got into one of the caves, I checked to see if any of the skulk guys would actually hurt me, and they didn't. So I kind of just mined around for diamonds, hoping a warden would be spotted, but he never was. I didn't even have fortune, and I walked out of here with like, okay, I kind of flew out of here with like 40 plus diamonds, but I didn't really want to do that. However, they were just so easy to find. Although I didn't want to spoil the magic too much, so I did end up heading home. But as soon as I got to the surface, it was raining again, and I had to wait out the day. By the time I got home, I was able to do some enchanting. I set up the enchantment table, and the only thing I liked out of all of the enchantments I got was the boots. That was it. And after wasting all those levels, I went back to mining. Again, this is currently the only way I have of getting levels, so yeah, this was the best I could do. Unfortunately, this trip was just as not successful as the last one, and I wasn't able to get any good enchants. I put mending on my boots, took some books off of the previous enchanting things, and then just kind of moved on. I also paid for an extra totem just in case I somehow happen to die. These piglin brutes are kind of getting me worried. Then for my next recording session, the next few days, I kind of got distracted by a movie. I ended up mining for the entire length of not only Detective Pikachu, but also Central Intelligence. Yeah, I was kind of watching Hulu while mining and just zoned the heck out. But you'll notice that my levels continuously went up and up and up until I was over level 70. Do you know how hard it is to get to level 70 by only mining quartz? Okay, well, it wasn't difficult, but it was just a very long process. I mean, that deserves a like, right? Yeah, no, it does. It does. Definitely go like the video right now. And now that we're back to base, it was time to organize all of my stuff, take the very, very long effort of getting all of this diamond gear to Prop 4 Unbreaking 3 at the very minimum, and then converting it all to netherite, and now I have the best set of armor I could possibly ever want. It's actually really hard to believe that basically by only staying here in the Nether, I've been able to get Prop 4 Netherite armor. I mean, I can fly, so it does make things a little easier. After I had accomplished one of my goals for the series, I wanted to do something else. As you know, I actually have access to one of the dragons, and later down the line, I'm not going to be able to fly as a blaze because I'm going to have a protective blaze, aka the reinforced blaze. So I'm going to make my dragon its own lair. I started mining out an area that I was going to be able to house the dragon in because, well, he's going to need that. Then I started decorating it because, well, it's a nether dragon, so I figured I would grab some things from down below, like plants and vines. After that, I had a pretty stable area set in stone for this dragon. And now that I have a dragon to think about, I made a fishing rod and went straight to the overworld. I spent an entire day fishing so that I would have enough to feed the dragon once it was, well, hatched. I think it's going to be a very weird concept, a blaze riding a dragon, but at this point, I don't question it. I mean, come on, the Bastion chest had 4 pieces of diamond armor in it. Riding a dragon is the least of my worries. And while I wait for this guy to hatch, I have an interesting plan. So now that I'm in full netherite armor, I figure it's about time I take on a single boss, okay? I'm not gonna go full blown, but I figure I should try one. Which boss am I speaking of? The Wither. Now I know that the Wither is actually not that difficult, but at the same time, I want to see if it'll even target a blaze. So I left my house for one of the few times in this video, I've never left before, and started adventuring for a fortress. One that's specific to spawning wither skeletons at least. However, after some time of travel, I ended up finding something very, very weird. It was another base, but not one that I was used to. It was full of very weird mobs, including an incomplete wither that I guess just never spawned correctly. There were traps that pushed you down holes and some very interesting loot, including a mending book. At one point, I even saw one of my final forms as a blaze, a reinforced blaze. As soon as I killed it, I was able to turn into the reinforced blaze at will. Now, once I go up against a really strong mob, I'll know exactly what form I'll be rocking. I wandered into a room that had a weird ore on the ceiling. It was tungsten, which I don't know what it does, so I looked up some armor pieces and it looked very, very cool. I'm actually very curious about this, and I might end up crafting tungsten armor. Although, I guess we'll see later in the video if I do that or not. I continued mining the tungsten and looting this place, and then I finally got out of there. Thankfully, it wasn't long before I ended up finding another fortress, but this place was kinda cursed. I searched for a very long time, lowered my render distance, and just continued going 200-300 blocks away and coming back to this place, and no skeletons were spawning whatsoever. It was really irritating, especially since this place was kind of out in the open and probably really good for wither skeletons, unless maybe this biome that I'm in doesn't actually spawn them? I honestly have no clue, but I guess it was back to adventuring. A little while later, I did end up finding a really cool biome that I recognized that actually spawned something I kinda needed. This guy right here is a skull, and if I remember from my fantasy video, I actually killed him and ended up getting a wither skeleton skull from him. So instead of going to a fortress, I decided to farm this biome instead. There were a ton of skulls here, and I started whacking them until boom, one of the guys actually did end up dropping 2 wither skeleton skulls. I didn't know looting worked like that. Now all I had to do was head home, and we were good to go. Ah, isn't this place a sight for sore eyes? Once I was home, I instantly grabbed all of the stuff I needed for the wither, meaning the wither skeleton skulls and of course the soul sand. I mined out an area for him away from my base and spawned him in. I stayed as a blaze for this just because I didn't want to have to worry about him flying away and not being able to kill him. Which is exactly what happened. As soon as he escaped, he flew away and I had to actually use my sword to kill him all the way. Although overall, I think he did like 2 hearts to me and I ate food 1 time, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And now that the wither is dead, I have a nether star. Not that I can currently use it because there's bedrock above my head. After that, I made blazerite armor because I figured, well, I mean, I'm a blaze. I should at least have my own set of armor. And then shifted into the reinforced blaze. I wanted to see what it would look like as well as how many armor points I actually have. Oh yeah, that looks so cool. And the extra orange armor, that's gonna help in battle. After those huge achievements, I turned back into a regular blaze and started laying out the idea of a chest room. I've been kind of living out of the same really bad area for a little while now, and I figure it's time I start getting the move on with this base. I laid it out, started mining it out, and gathered more resources for it than I probably should have gathered even more resources because chests actually take a lot of wood, but anyway, I was gathering more resources. Then I thought it would be very, very weird and interesting if I did a diagonal chest room. That's something I've never done and I haven't actually seen anyone do in their life, so I figured I'd try it. I started by laying out the chests, obviously having to craft more, and I did even this furnace wall at the back with some crafting tables. I think overall there's not as many chests as I would have liked, but I also have 4 corners in here, so I can dedicate a certain area to whatever I want if I really needed it. Next up, I left my base to head to the local bastion to see if I could trade with some piglins. I had 41 blocks to kill, and I really needed leather. That's something that the nether doesn't truly provide, is leather, so I went ahead and just tried to get it from these guys. Unfortunately, when I started trading with these two, I didn't realize for a little while, but they actually were just making armor with the gold that I was giving them. I have no idea how they were doing this, but I just kind of slayed them for their efforts and moved on. The next bastion that I went to, I was easily able to capture a lot more piglin and use those for trades. It took a really long time, but I eventually got all the gold done and settled with, and I was able to kill the guys who were making armor again. I think it's when I start running out of gold that they begin to make armor, so when I gave them 41 blocks, they all started like trading instead of making armor like the previous ones, who I only gave like a stack to, and they just used that to make armor. I know it's a little complicated, but it kind of makes sense to me. Once I returned home, I decided to upgrade my backpack. This thing has been sitting at iron for way too long, and now we have a diamond one, which holds a lot more stuff. After that, I began the long and terrifying process of chest organization. We made one of the 4 chest rooms I'm planning on putting in this base, so I mean, I may as well put it to good use. The organization side of it was a little wobbly, maybe, but overall it looks pretty good, and now we don't have a weird pile of chests with just everything in it. Next on this Blaze's list was making an enchantment table room. As you can tell, I'm clearing out the area that I had used in the base and kind of making rooms for all of the stuff that was just left out. One of those things being the enchantment table. I obviously started by mining it out. I even had to go grab resources at one point, and then I started laying out the actual room itself. The enchantment table was obviously going to be in the middle, but a little bit further back, as well as I ended up adding a corrupted design. I kind of think it'd be really cool with the nether portal room to actually have like the overworld come in here, so I kind of wanted to keep this one nether themed, but also split it in 2. So we have like a modern theme, and we have like a forgotten theme, rotten theme, I don't know. I'm just going to say that we have a modern and a rotten theme, one consisting of quartz and one consisting of netherrack. That's what that's called, right? I believe so. I think it looks really cool, and I figured out you can actually craft vertical slabs, so I ended up doing that with the quartz. After I was done adding another room to this base, I figured it was probably about time I could take on the Ender Dragon. I grabbed what I had that was necessary, which only meant 9 eyes of Ender because, well, I don't have the rest. Hopefully on the way I can find a blaze or 2 and kill them with my looting 3 sword, but for now, the only thing I could grab was 9 eyes. Then I started venturing out, forgetting that I have a map button and a marker where I'm supposed to be going, and just kind of went this way. I went really quite far, actually, and I didn't realize I was going this far, but yeah, I kind of went in this direction for a little bit too long and got lost and then had to turn back. It wasn't a very successful 2 days, but eventually I found my way home, and it's time to actually go the right direction. Along this venture, I found an unlooted bastion, which gave me a couple more pieces of diamond armor and another ancient debris. After that, I did end up finding another fortress that I was able to farm for blazes so I could get all the eyes I would need for the portal. At one point, my final form as a blaze actually spawned, a wildfire. This was the strongest form of my blaze, and I had to kill it. And once I did, I was able to change into a wildfire at any point that I wanted to. Which means my armor would be buffed, but also my strength, so I hit way harder than just a normal blaze. That could prove useful later, especially when I'm going to be going against the Frostmaw. After that, I arrived at my destination and lit up the end portal. It was time for this blaze to go take on a massive dragon. I hopped in and it was time. I was going to be able to fly around in this fight, so this dragon stood absolutely no chance. Once I got in there, I instantly used my crossbow to start shooting off all of these crystals because I didn't want to get too close and end up blowing myself up. After I thought I had taken out the last one, I started trying to fight the dragon. However, I accidentally missed one. I don't know what I was thinking. I can clearly see it in this clip now, but I guess I just am blind maybe while fighting. Or maybe the blaze's eyesight is wearing off on me and I just couldn't see it too well. Eventually, I was able to see that it was healing the dragon still and blow the final crystal up. Then it was just me versus the dragon. Its first perch seemed very easy. I had tons of buff, including my actual form and my netherite sharpness 5 sword. I crit its head until it left me and I was stuck once again firing crossbow shot after crossbow shot at it. I repeated the same process with its next and then final perch. The dragon glitched out a little bit at the end, but I was able to finish it off and kill it as a blaze. I've successfully freed the nether and the end, one from a wither and one from a dragon. Now I'm pretty sure you all know what's next. An Elytra. As I flew around, I was hoping to find an end city. However, I'm kinda happy with what I stumbled upon first. This was what looked like the end version of a temple. And sure enough, it was. I headed down, destroyed all of the TNT, and started looting the chests. I even got a map for an end stronghold that I was very, very excited to follow. Once I got out of the temple, that was my only goal, was to literally just follow this map. Hopefully along the way I'd find an end city, but I wanted to know what was at the end of this treasure hunt. So that's what I did, day after day after day, and so on and so forth. There was some looting along the way, sure. I mean, yeah, I came across a few things, but this was the only thing I was focused on. I didn't know what it was, and I don't think I've ever been in one, so I really wanted to check it out. However, before I even ended up getting there, I did find the Elytra. I wasn't too concerned about the NCD itself, so I just went up to the flying airship and grabbed it. Only reason I needed this as a blaze is because my final form as a blaze cannot actually fly. I mean, you gotta balance me out a little bit. Increased strength, better armor, no flight. Makes a little sense. Then after that, I finally made progress on the map and only had to head in one of the directions. I'm still hoping it's north, because I have no idea if I'm supposed to be going south or north right now. Anyway, the map eventually loaded in and I found the end stronghold. Not gonna lie, this place was really underwhelming. I thought it would have something much, much cooler. I mean, it was blue, if that gives you any sort of indication about what I'm working with here, but it still wasn't anything I was very interested in. Yeah, I know. I spent like 5 days searching for a singular thing on a map because I thought it would be cool. How wrong I was. It wasn't all bad though, because along the way we did get some pretty cool stuff, and now we have an Elytra, so I guess it's time we head back home. Next time, can one of you remind me to actually write down the codes of the end gateway? It took way too long to get back here. And then of course I had to spawn in the nether spawn, which means I still had to find my way home. Ah, there she is. Now after a long few days travel and fighting off a gigantic dragon, what did I do? Come home, kick back, relax, get a couple of beers with the boys? Absolutely not. I decided to organize all of the stuff I had gotten, and by golly, it's a lot. I mean, I'm happy with the results, trust me. But it's just a lot of sorting to do. But somewhere, someone in my video's still gonna tell me that something's in the wrong spot. I know you will, little Timmy. Don't do it. Hey, you remember the old Blaze saying, don't follow a map more than once? Yeah, no, I don't either, so I decided to follow another map. However, this map I found at the very beginning of this video, and I figured it might lead me to something really, really cool. Let me tell ya, I definitely didn't waste my days on this. Look, lesson learned, okay? If I follow a map, don't, okay? That's all I need to say. Look where I ended up, a nether ruin, which I thought sounded really, really cool. However, it was not at all, and the loot was absolutely garbage, and I had been to this place like over and over and over again. Maybe by the third map I'll learn my lesson. But now that I'm far enough away from my base to see the sun rise in the overworld, I may as well just keep exploring. And I'll run you the highlights. First up was this bastion, another treasure one of course. These are the only ones I loot nowadays anyway. Once I took care of the mobs, I checked what was in the chest, and there was an Elytra Bane sword, as well as a ton more netherite stuff, which included an ingot. Then I grabbed the gold and headed on. I stopped by another treasure bastion just to check the chest, and there were 3 more pieces of diamond armor for me. Then I stumbled upon one of the netherite castles that had actually never been ruined. This place was full, and even had chests, something I wasn't used to. I started looting and realizing that this place should have spawned in more. Every time we've been to one of these, it hadn't fully spawned in, so it only had the netherite pieces. But now, I'm getting diamonds, iron, gold, and so much more. When I got upstairs, the loot even got better. I started getting full netherite ingots, diamond armor, everything you could possibly imagine. I mean, this was clearly a throne room, and this was definitely someone's castle, but, I mean, now it's kind of mine, so I'm just going to take these goodies, and, yep, these are mine now, thank you very much. Then there were a couple more chests I could loot and got more ancient debris, scraps, diamond armor, all of the above. I mean, I can't believe I already have so many ingots just from this place alone. I also got an enchanted golden carrot, which was very, very weird. I don't know if this thing's going to be good or not, but we'll see. I also found an upgrade for my backpack that is auto feed, and I don't know what that does, so I guess we'll just have to determine that later. I also decided to blow up one of these temples just for fun because I was bored, and I mean, the area looks kind of okay down here. Maybe they can really make this into a temple now that I've actually given them the ground floor to work with. I also found an above ground tungsten ore castle, which I decided to mine yet again. Still thinking it's possible I make this armor, but even if I do 200 days as a blaze, I might want to change up my armor a bit. So I went ahead and mined it and looted it here. It was okay, but it wasn't too great. I kind of want to find another netherite castle if I'm gonna be honest. After a while of looting all the measly buildings, I decided it was time I find one singular place. And this was going to be the coolest place in the Nether. So I decided to fly in one singular direction until I found it. It took me a while, but I eventually ended up finding the Nether version of an end city. I made my way inside and started searching for any chests. The first one I found had 4 pieces of netherite in it, as well as some odds and end pieces. And this time, it was netherite ingots I was getting. The second chest also didn't disappoint, giving me an extra 3 netherite ingots and 11 scrap. I'm pretty sure there's not a building better in the Nether. I then went to the third and final chest and got a little bit of gold. Unfortunately, it didn't have any netherite, but honestly, I still think I'm the victor of this story. However, after days upon days of travel, finding the best building in the entire Nether, getting so much really good armor, I figured it time to go back home. And let's just say it's a lot easier to find your home when you know the way back. Now that we're home, we can successfully change into our final blaze form. Now this one can't fly, but we have an Elytra, so it doesn't really matter. Now I'm a wildfire, which means I have a lot more health as well as I hit so much harder. And thankfully, we have this Elytra, so I can kind of glide fly. And after that, I went through and organized all of the amazing gear we found on our adventure. There is so much netherite. Look at all of this. There's too much for me to even comprehend. Oh, we're going to be able to make so many amazing sets of armors with this. Once the chests were all finished and I was all up and organized for my backpack, I started researching what type of armor I actually wanted. I know that I'm rocking Blazerite right now, but I'm already a Blaze and I kind of already have those effects or those immunities. So I went through to see which one I actually wanted for my boss fight, something that's going to give me an upper hand against my final boss, the Frostmaw. I decided on Featherite armor because it gives me the ability to double jump, walk on water and lava, as well as take 0 fall damage. And since I'm a Blaze that can't fly, I can actually take fall damage now. As well as being able to walk over water instead of swimming in it as a Blaze and dying is going to be very useful. Then I went through and set aside a pair of armor that I wanted to turn into a god set for this Featherite. Unfortunately, that'll have to wait because I'm going to have to go and gather feathers first. Featherite needs feathers. Obviously, it's kind of in the name, and I don't have any, or my stash is non-existent. So we are going to have to go kill a lot of birds. Hopefully you guys don't... Never mind, I don't care. We're going to kill a lot of birds. And I'll be doing that with my brand new Blazerite sword. With the matching shield, of course. Now, heading to the overworld, my only goal was to find some winged things that could possibly drop feathers. I flew around with my Elytra and fireworks until I saw a crane, and that piqued my interest. I killed it, and I did indeed get feathers, so I killed its friends across the river, and then I even went to a kiwi. I'm not very happy with the amount of things that I'm killing for this, but I do need the feathers. I also found my nemesis, a pack of horses. If you know me well at all, you know what's about to happen. Yep, I just did that for all of you people who comment that you don't like it when I kill horses. Heck off. I also strolled my way into a village, and apparently the guards don't find a problem with a Blaze just walking around. I guess their AI doesn't detect that I'm a bad guy, but I'm okay with it because now I can just steal their stuff. I also tried to sleep for the first time as a Blaze, but this villager blocked me, so I got him out of my bed, tried to hit him, and yeah, that frozen screen is my game crashing because I tried to kill a villager. Yep, a villager crashed my game. Oh, he better know as soon as I log back on, I'ma kill him. Oh, did he die? Did I kill him? Did I get, is he out? No? All right, I guess I'll just sleep for the night. Maybe I can dream about killing him. I saw some crows and decided to whack them, but I also noticed a giant pillager building. Oh yeah, this over here is gonna be my next stop. And I have 33 feathers now, so we're all good to go. I stumbled upon a pillager, and he shot first. He must have watched Star Wars. But my shield was able to deflect it, and I one-tapped him. I'm a little insane, huh? Then I went inside and saw a guy playing a drum, killed him. Probably shouldn't have done that, but maybe they'll hurt me. I have no clue. Then I started looting. The pillagers didn't really like me, but I was able to fend them off and continue looting. I was given god apples, emeralds, diamonds, everything you could think of. I already had a ton of netherite, so getting this other stuff was just icing on the cake. I made it through every level until I came face to face with a gigantic pillager boss. He was the Illager King, and I had to take him out. He did way more damage than I predicted, but I'm a Blaze with a ton of armor, and I took him out pretty easy. I have one more goal to complete for this 100 days, and if the Illager King took me out now, I would have been so annoyed. Now back at base, it's time to organize yet again what we got. As you can see, we have a lot of materials that I didn't even get to show. A lot of the chests there had some really random items, but I grabbed them anyway because they'd be useful later. A lot of the stuff was arrow and potion focused because, well, I guess they're magicians in a way. But I can use all of this stuff in the future. Once all of that was organized, I realized I had a few music discs that I didn't even get to play. And in my 100 days in a fantasy world, I never got to play my music discs. So I decided it was time to test them out. Pickstep is still a definite bop, and there's no other music disc in regular Minecraft that can step to this. I also tried Galactic Wave from one of the end cities that I looted, but this thing was hot garbage. I took that out immediately. Then I'm pretty sure I listened to a horror movie. I do not know what this sound was, but it's interesting, I guess? And the next one was Ward, an absolute no-no. Day 94, I went ahead and built another dragon pen. Now, we were running out of days, and I still had a fire dragon egg that I wanted to use in the nether. I know I've had other dragons, but this one is still nether focused. So I mined out an area and decorated it with lava and netherrack. I still really like the look of the inside of this base, but there's so much more I could do in 200 days. And if you want to see some fire dragon action, then make sure to click that like button down below so we do a 200 days as a blaze. Now, since my days are getting shorter and shorter and my time is dwindling, it's finally time to focus on this featherite armor so I can use it to defeat the boss, Frostmaw. However, I'm at a solid 21 levels and it's time to go get more. I traveled to one of the biomes that is basically made up of only quartz and started mining. Once I got to level 40, it was time to move on. I figured each piece would probably take me around 10 levels to combine with a bunch of books and all that, so 40 should be enough. Now home, it's time to grab all the books and armor I'm going to be using to make the perfect set. I first took fresh diamond boots and added Unbreaking 4 to them from this little goblin trader. Yes, you can actually get over max level enchantments, and I figured I'd use the opportunity for these boots right away. Then I made an almost perfect chest plate and finished it off with protection 4. Then I made some amazing boots, and of course the perfect helmet to top it all off. The leggings were already complete. And now it's time to use all of that netherite that we gathered to turn this into a full netherite set and then switch that set to featherite so that I have an amazing set to go against the Frostmaw. Plus, it's one of the more fun sets to use since I can jump around. Unfortunately, I took off the blaze set. I know it's a little bit forbidden as I am a blaze, but I'm sure I will wear it later in the future. And now it's time to head out, and for the first time, I'm going to be using one of my dragons. I grabbed heat and we headed through the portal. As the sun rose, I knew we were going to have a long day ahead of us trying to find the Frostmaw. Honestly, it was probably the coolest thing ever to see a blaze ride a nether dragon. And both of us not dying at the same time while being in the overworld is pretty cool too. Making it to my first snow biome, I knew the Frostmaw was near. Heat and I were looking out for the Frostmaw when all of a sudden the boss bar appeared on my screen. The Frostmaw was in my sights. I let Heat fly himself down safely and went towards the Frostmaw. Once I got too close, he woke up and instantly started to roar. I have never fought a Frostmaw before, and instantly I was frozen in place. This fight was much scarier than I predicted, and I was already losing hearts. I kept using my double jump to get away, but while frozen, it was so impossible. I even started to shake from the cold weather. Getting away from this guy was extremely intense. I tried getting in as many hits as I possibly could. I even ate one of my enchanted golden apples and went in on the guy. He backed up and I started using bow shots, but he froze me yet again. Once I got close, I started jamming my sword in his mouth and he was starting to die. A few hits now and I was going to be able to kill him. I wanted to do it in an epic way, except for the fact that fire damage killed him on my escape. But I was now the first ever blaze to defeat the Frostmaw. I have conquered the elements and taken in the cold weather and defeated its champion. Now it's time for me and Heat to head home after our greatest victory. Unfortunately, when I got back to the portal, Heat was a little too big to fit through. I forgot that on the other side of the portal, it's a 3x3 on the inside instead of a 2x3. So I helped him out a little bit and extended the portal in the overworld. And it was truly great to be back home in the nether with my dragon friend. I've completed a lot in these last 100 days. I was able to defeat not only the wither, but also the ender dragon. Get myself 2 custom sets of netherite armor, get myself an amazing dragon, and defeat the Frostmaw, one of the only mobs that I thought could take me. And best of all, I have finally taken on the form of the wildfire blaze. which means I'm a little bit more powerful than you think. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It helps me out so much, and that's the best way to support my channel. As well as if you're interested in an energy drink, make sure to go check out GSupps down below in the description. I am partnered with them and they are an amazing drink company. They also have non-caffeinated versions of most of their drinks and the one that I like the best, so you don't have to bounce off the walls to enjoy a treat. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Maybe you'll complete your own 100 days as a blaze because of this video, but I will see you guys next time. Peace.